holy crap, it is windy right now where I'm sitting in central Indiana, and we're recording on Wednesday. But I guess you're going to get the weather soon, Tracy. But 40, 50 mile an hour winds. The sun's out. It's beautiful otherwise, but we may lose power here in a minute or two. So be ready.
Does the sky turn yellow before you get a tornado? How does that look? What's the warning?
I don't know. I'll have to get my tornado chart out to see. It's a color chart. It's either going to be a tornado or yeah, I reached down into the sarcasm well and I came up empty. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame.
Do you want to start again?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It can't all be gems. Here's the thing though, Tracy. By the way, it's the Enough Already podcast. I'm Fingers and Tracy. I learned something this week.
Just one thing?
Just one thing. Apparently Cops, the TV show, it was still on the air.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I had no idea. Did you know this? Did you know Cops is still on the air?
No.
Yeah. Apparently, it's been on for 53 years. At one point, they bragged that they broadcasted it in Technicolor. That's how long it's been on TV. But it got canceled this week.
Of course it did.
Because collectively as a nation now, we're supposed to all hate cops. So I'm told. So Cops got canceled. And then the other thing that I find interesting in a way that I don't find interesting is apparently Gone with the Wind was taken off of some streaming service. I don't know. It's no longer available at Family Video too, from what I understand. So people are really upset about that. And I would love to be upset about that too, Tracy, but I've never seen Gone with the Wind.
Neither have I.
Holy cow. You're like the entertainment guru here at Enough Already.
Well, I mean, in order to be a guru versus you, I just have to watch a little bit of television and a movie occasionally.
That's right. I'm still on episode 4, season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I have my finger on the pulse of pop culture in this country. So there's that. But apparently people are very upset. Because we're going in and we're eliminating entertainment that may upset and offend people. I know personally, I would go to the bar and hear people at the next table going, that goddamn Gone with the Wind is still available for people to see. Why won't someone put a stop to this? That may not have happened, but still.
Was that when you were hanging out with your dad and his friends?
Yes. My dad's 82. Just turned 82, by the way. We had a big celebration. I bought him lottery tickets. That's when you're 82.
Excellent.
What else are you going to get an 82-year-old man for his birthday?
Polydent?
Well, he still has his own teeth.
That's good.
He doesn't have a partial or falsies. I think they call them falsies. That's what they called him on Gone with the Wind. So I hear.
We're going to get thrown off of YouTube just because you said that.
Right? So I don't know. Everyone's going crazy. I'm seeing the NFL, because it cannot not look wokety woke in situations like this. Now you have every NFL player talking about our current political climate and our relationship between the community, particularly the Black community, and law enforcement. I got a Detroit Lions post. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, unfortunately. I saw a post from Frank Ragnow, who's the center of the Detroit Lions. He's the guy that snaps the ball. Yeah. So he went on about white privilege and everybody's getting all upset. And I can't be outraged anymore. I can't be upset. I don't get offended. I'm not a woman. Sorry. But still, you would think this would get tiresome after a while, being constantly offended over every little thing. Who cares? I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how people can care this much and keep it at that level. It's like we've been talking about with the news, where it's, Trump is terrible, the world is ending every day for the past 3.5 years, and then they got the world to almost end. Mm-hmm. We all went, and got grounded for 3 months. And I was thinking about this, and I have yet to hear anybody say it. And I want to know if they would be attacked for it or not. So I'll say it, and maybe somebody will attack me and bring it on, because I'm not worried about getting canceled or fired. It's not going to happen. So did we not just spend 3 months proving that all lives matter? Nobody was running around being like, you know what, F you, I'm going outside in minority neighborhoods and coughing all over the place. It was just like, okay, we all agree as a society that we care about each other's well-being. And because of that, 40 million people are going to lose their jobs, and every damn business in your town is shutting down. And yet here we are on the other side of that, and all of a sudden it's like, no, we don't care about this one group of people. No, fuck you. Are you serious? Like, I just put up with 3 months of staying home and not being able to go anywhere so everybody could be protected. If you want to have a rational, reasonable conversation, I'm more than happy to do that. And I tried when I went to the protests to talk to people. And I got told to stand in my privilege. And I said, I don't know what that means. And then then I can't help you.
Well,
can you explain it to me?
Yeah, well, here's the deal when it comes to the whole white privilege argument. I've always thought of it more as a poverty privilege, or, it's more poverty driven and not racial. I don't think that people who are living in trailer parks who are white in Mississippi feel like they're all that privileged, especially if they live in a high crime area. But I will acknowledge that when I get pulled over by a police officer, I'm probably going to have a different attitude and a different feeling about that than if I were a 25-year-old black male. I can acknowledge that and understand that that's the case. But then you make this whole leap from that to I should feel guilty about being white. Well, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to feel guilty for being white. I am not responsible for what that officer did in Minneapolis, and that's on him. And to be honest, I see all that, and I see this urge to make white people feel guilty about everything that a white person has ever done. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to participate in that. That's each individual is responsible for their individual choice and how they behave. And I'll tell you something else too. If the solution to make myself better in the eyes of the American left and to rid some of my white guilt is to vote liberal Democrat, well, the hell, that's never going to happen. So I'm sorry.
Right. And I don't know if that's the pitch per se, but it seems to kind of be heading that way. And I think you and I can safely say we have a long record of being anti-collectivist, period.
Right.
So I don't care about any of that. I don't consider myself to be part of any group really, and nor do I judge anybody based on their group identity.
Yeah. And as someone who is on the political right, I have also been very critical, and so have you been, of law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just as suspicious of law enforcement as any other arm of the federal, state, and local government. So I just don't automatically nod in approval of everything that law enforcement does, because you give someone that kind of authority and there will be people out there who will abuse it.
Yes. And I've had that discussion with a bunch of people this week that I know, then saying, look, it's the same thing I brought up last week. I think that people that are violent and have that kind of stuff in them, maybe sociopathy, whatever you want to call it, they're going to gravitate towards those kinds of jobs. And I brought that up in a meeting at work, and one of the women that I work with said, yeah, I met her ex-boyfriend. She's like, I went to high school with him. He's a psycho. And the first thing, he went right into the police force. And then a couple other people popped up. I'm like, yeah, I know some people that had some anger issues and whatever, and, authority issues, and they wanted to be the authority. So this is not to say all cops,
of course
right?
Not. Right.
But it just makes sense.
I have family members who are police officers, and they aren't psycho. They just wanted to get into the, and a lot of it too is it's a family business. Oh, my dad was a cop and my grandpa was a cop. So that's just what we do. So, I mean, there are a lot of fine police officers out there, but it just drives me crazy though. It just drives me crazy, though, that local governments around the country have turned their police force into revenue generation departments, where how can we squeeze more money out of the people who live in this city without raising their taxes? Well, we'll have bus, I told the story last week, I believe, on this show, but I'm doing like 26 podcasts at this point, Tracy, where I got pulled over by a local police officer. I don't know if stop me if I told this. I told this last week.
Yeah, where he had to give you a ticket.
Yeah, he had to give me a ticket. He was told if everyone I pull over, I have to give a ticket. So rather than giving me a speeding ticket for going 7 miles over the speed limit, he gave me a seatbelt ticket, even though I was wearing a seatbelt. He cut me a break, Tracy, because
that's so nice.
The city needed its revenue. So we got, maybe short this year. We got to have a ticket drive.
Yeah, it makes me want to carry around my tax return and just like, this is how much I paid last year. How many of these do I get to get out of?
Yeah.
It's a little bit excessive. And I think that these politicians are cynically using the police as a scapegoat for their own issues. They're the ones that come up with these stupid ass laws that then they send the police out to enforce. I hear nothing in the discussion coming from the left about, hey, maybe we need to back off on all these petty little laws.
Yeah. Well,
that's what causes the interactions in the first place.
But unfortunately, there are plenty of people on the right who are fine with it too, if they think it's protecting people. It drives me nuts. We're about to have a law. It's going to take effect, I believe, July 1st in Indiana. If you're caught with your phone in your hand while you're driving, I believe it could be up to $1,000 fine. And too many people just nod along saying, well, it's okay. You really shouldn't be texting while driving. Of course not. You shouldn't be texting while driving. You know what else you shouldn't be doing? You shouldn't be messing with your radio while you're driving. You shouldn't be doing your makeup while you're driving. You shouldn't be eating while you're driving. You shouldn't have your back turned to the road while you're messing with your kids while you're driving. There's a lot of things you shouldn't be doing while you're driving. But what we don't need is a police force that is actively looking to pull people over to write those tickets, just like the click it or ticket stuff, where you've got police officers on overpasses with their binoculars looking in your car to see if you're on your phone or if you're not wearing your seatbelt, or another way they could shake you down. Oh, that's a mighty nice commute you have going on there. Sure would be a shame if something happened to it. That's what it feels like.
Yes, we're all just piggy banks waiting to be ticketed.
Yes.
That's how they look at us. So this idea that they care about anybody is kind of laughable. And I'm talking about the politicians that write the laws that are now on television, crying. And did you see them in their costumes the other day, Fingers, the Democrats? I thought it was an ad for Coming to America 2, which is in the works. And I'm not kidding about that. They're actually making Coming to America 2.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm. We've run out of ideas, don't you know? Well, at this point, Coming to America 1 should probably be canceled.
I'm trying to think what would be offensive about Coming to America 1.
Didn't they sell Jerry Curl in that?
Yeah, they did. Soul Glow.
Yeah, Soul Glow. That's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, depending on how you look at it, it could be offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can take offense at anything. I read today that they pulled Little Britain episodes down. And that was the show that I had brought up a couple times, where they had that sketch where it's just kind of like what it's like to meet the bureaucracy, where the character just says, oh, no, computer says no. Sorry, nothing we can do. But I don't remember this. They said they did a couple skits in blackface. So that's got to go. It's like, we can't be grown-ups about this and say like there was nothing intentional behind that to hurt anybody.
No, we can't. And that's what's so ridiculous about look, the blackface issue, for instance, the fact that they did their best, they meaning the political left and activists, which, an activist in 2020 is just someone on their phone tweeting, but trying to cancel Jimmy Fallon because he did a sketch in 2001 where he dressed up as Chris Rock. And so he was in blackface. He was in blackface.
It's like, was Chris Rock offended? That's who he's dressed up as.
Right.
I mean, what is the point of effects makeup? If hobbits were real people, would Peter Jackson's head be on the chopping block for making Lord of the Rings? I mean, my God.
Well, I
No,
always thought of blackface is you're painting yourself that way and making fun
right.
of, not I'm Chris Rock and I can do a really believable Chris Rock imitation, but I'm one of the whitest men in America, being Jimmy Fallon. So they look, Lauren Michaels let him do it, for crying out loud. Everyone at NBC. And don't try to hand it to me that, oh, well, that's, that's entertainment. They're bigots deep down. It's like, oh, come on. They in 2000, even in 2000, you could say that 2001, before we started calling it wokety woke, that NBC and Saturday Night Live was very sensitive about stuff like that. And they didn't think anything of it because it wasn't making fun of black people. It was Jimmy Fallon doing a Chris Rock imitation.
Right. I mean, I get, maybe we will never understand this fully through the lens of white privilege. We can't see. I mean, I'm open to hearing the other side if I can ever get past the you've got privilege and you can't hear me, and nor you won't hear me, or I won't bother explaining it to you because you should just know, which is what I've heard again and again and again. But that's why I wanted to point out that, and I have it up on enoughalready.media site, that Scott Adams sat down with Hotep Jesus, and they had, it was about an hour and a half, maybe 2-hour conversation about race in America. Mm-hmm. And it was incredibly refreshing. And both of them went places that you've never heard anybody go before.
Okay.
And I would definitely check it out. I mean, it was really interesting to hear Hotep Jesus's point of view on the situation where he feels like the right has no empathy. And that's a big problem. And I can understand how that comes off that way.
Absolutely.
There is a lack of empathy from the right. And Scott kind of pointed out, well, that's kind of their whole deal. It's like, we don't believe in victimhood. It's a meritocracy kind of thing. So it's counter to their nature. I do think they're hearing it a little more. I saw something coming out from Senator Cotton, said something like, to the same effect behind closed doors in a meeting, and it got leaked out. And it's like, okay, this is a gesture that the right could be making. And my one thing that I'm having, that I'm annoyed with, and I guess it's just because there's no real platform for the libertarian voice in all of this. There's nobody prominent on TV. So I'm seeing it all on Twitter, and there's a lot of fighting going on. But it's like, hey guys, we've been saying get rid of the cops for a really long time. I remember us. We're saying arm yourself. Follow Maj Touré on Twitter. He built a group called Black Guns Matter, and he's going all over the country training people in the inner cities how to defend themselves. I'm about to reach out to them and be like, when are you going to Minneapolis? How much do you need to do a training there? Because they're getting rid of their cops. And I don't know where the hell anybody's going to work anymore because they've burned down everything. So maybe insurance will pay them something, but then who the hell is going to insure businesses in that city ever again?
Well, and still no one has, from what I've been able to see, and granted, I haven't really been looking for it now that I think about it, but there has been talk, especially during the whole riot week that went down early on, that, the narrative on the left, from many on the left was, well, they got insurance. So, but then you would hear people who actually knew stuff about insurance say, well, they may have insurance, but it doesn't necessarily cover a riot. So,
well, it's the same argument they make about health insurance, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you think you have insurance, and then you find out your insurance doesn't cover that because there's some little loophole over there that makes it so it's not covered really, even though you thought it was. So, but the fact that they can't or refuse to make that same connection when it comes to this isn't surprising. I mean, they have to kind of just, no, everything will be fine. Everybody will be made whole again. It's great. Well, it's totally cool to let people just destroy stuff.
Part of the problem too is there are no advocates for small business, and this was going back, into the coronavirus discussion and how we shut businesses down. There aren't very many effective advocates in the media defending small business owners. They're usually vilified. People classify them as rich, and you own a business, you must be loaded. And meanwhile, too often we hear these stories about how people only have enough in savings to cover 2 weeks worth of bills. If you're a struggling small business owner and you're hearing people say, you got insurance, like you don't have a deductible. Yeah.
Hey.
There's going to be costs involved in your business being destroyed, even though you may, if your insurance covers it, which in a lot of cases it won't. But I don't have the piece in front of me, but you're already seeing businesses in Minneapolis backing out. There's a manufacturer of
I've got it.
Okay. Like rollers, I believe, and they also manufacture materials for medical devices, I think, in Minneapolis.
I thought it was medical mannequins or something weird.
Oh, medical mannequins, maybe that's what it was. And
which I've never. What's a medical mannequin?
I don't know. Maybe it's, you ever take CPR training?
Oh yeah, so like you crash test dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the business is Seven Sigma, so they got burned down.
Right, and there's like, we're not coming back. We
no, why would you?
We sat there and watched our business burn, and the fire department was, fire engine was sitting on the corner, and nobody was doing anything. And it was just, heck, the local residents may as well have been out there making s'mores, around this burning business. And they're like, well, the hell with it. We aren't coming back. And I can't say I blame them, especially when you're hearing this rhetoric from the left. And I swear to God, it's like they want Trump to get reelected. It's amazing to me. You're hearing stuff that would have been considered batshit crazy 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like it's mainstream leftist thinking, like, oh, we're just gonna defund the police. Look, that
defund
great.
And dismantle, and then you've got the media being like, they don't really mean that, and then so one of them will pop up and be like, oh yeah, we do.
Yeah,
it's exactly what we mean.
It looks great on a bumper sticker.
Right, but you and I both know they're going to get their money somehow. There's going to be something else that pops up to take the place of the police. We're just going to call it something different.
Right.
So this is all just semantics.
It's like Acorn.
Yes, it is.
Just name it something else. I mean, business as usual, but we'll feel like we did something. We really accomplished something here by defunding and dismantling the police force, and then have a new kind of law enforcement wing of our local government. Oh. But we call it something. We rebranded. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Okay. All I know is the city council members who are suggesting this, and the rich white liberal intellectuals will have enough money to provide themselves security. And meanwhile, once again, people of color in the city who are not able to afford their own private security wing, they're going to be stuck until we figure out how we're going to reorganize this whole thing. They're going to be stuck without the police. That's what I'm hearing. Sounds like a fantastic plan.
Yeah, you think? And now you're going to have these businesses fleeing the cities. So, and you're going to have anybody that has the ability to do so leaving, because first you had the virus where the cities were the worst and hardest hit. So that's motivator number one to get the hell out. Now you've got complete destruction, chaos, and disorder. Reason number two to get out. Who's going to be left are the poor people that can't afford to get the hell out. And now you've destroyed any opportunity they had to make money because there's no businesses left.
Right. And then on top of it, honestly, why would anyone want to be a cop right now?
I don't see any reason to. I think it's nuts. They don't even get paid all that well. And you have one of the shittiest jobs that's completely thankless. And now you've got a target on your back.
Yeah. I mean, I feel for people in my family who are cops and the good cops out there who are, by the way, and you did see it during the whole pandemic shutdown, where you had some local sheriffs stand up to city councils saying, look, I'm not enforcing these ridiculous ordinances that you're passing right now because I can't enforce them. I'm not going to. I think it was either San Jose or Santa Monica, one of the Sands, but not Diego in California. The sheriff came out, the city council said, yeah, you know those little birthday parades that people are doing? Yeah, we're banning those. And he's like, I'm done. I can't do that. What, you want me to pull over cars because they are driving down the street with holding up signs? It's crazy. And I think that there needs to be more pushback from regular folks going to the local city council meeting saying, okay, you're just passing too many laws. You are making police officers interact way too much with citizens. That does not lead to good things other than fattening your coffers, which I understand that's your motivation. But don't look at me with a straight face and say that you're doing it to keep people safe. If that were the case, how about 100% of that seatbelt ticket money goes to safety, education when it comes to wearing your seatbelts? Why doesn't that revenue go somewhere else? You would think if it's about saving lives.
It's not about saving lives. It never is.
Right. But if it was about saving lives, you would take that ticket revenue and try to educate the populace into wearing their seatbelts. And but it's not. It's we'll take maybe a small portion, little tiny bit, I like that. But then they'll go into the general fund or the police pension fund or somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely going into pension funds. And again, there's little to no talk about disbanding the police unions.
Right.
God forbid we have that conversation.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know enough about what it's like to be a cop on the beat to understand or know what is typical as far as how many complaints are filed against a typical police officer. Maybe in the amount of time that this cop was on the beat, that's typical to have that many complaints. You know, when you're dealing with, I saw a police officer, I think it was a New York cop, and there was a press conference where he said, you know, hundreds of millions of interactions a year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Most of them are positive, and that does not excuse the negative ones, because you have to be held to a high standard when you have that kind of authority and you're armed. But you know, I don't know what is considered typical, but I do know from talking to police officers that a police union isn't much different than any other union in the private sector, where the union will protect bad employees.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no room for that. There should not be any room for that in police departments. You should
in
not
the public sector, period.
Right. Well, it should be room for it anywhere.
Right. But in the public sector for sure, because now you're talking about police and teachers.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't want to kick that door open. You know that they as soon as we can start scrutinizing the police union and what they do, the teachers union's up next. Now you've just shut down schools for the rest of the year, so parents are getting an idea of what it is that the teachers actually do.
Right.
Which I haven't heard many good reports on that one, on that front. And it's like, my kid can learn on the internet. Why are we going to school? And then looking at their property tax bill that, I don't know, did they suspend property taxes in Indiana? Because they didn't do it here, I don't believe.
No, but then what's funny is you have governors in certain states demanding auto insurance companies send rebate checks back because people weren't driving, the risk of accidents plummeted because there were less people on the road. But like you said, schools weren't open.
Yeah. Oh, we got to keep paying the teachers.
Yeah.
And we got to pay into their pension fund, which is where the majority of the money goes.
Right.
I mean, I've been looking at buying houses around where I am. I'm looking at a house that's 2,000 square feet. It's like, 250, 300, somewhere in there. Do you want me to tell you what the property tax is a year?
What's that?
You're going to throw up. Because you guys have yours capped, right, in Indiana?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
I thought yours was capped statewide at 1% or something like that.
I believe at one point something was passed like that, but I shame on me. I don't know.
Oh, well.
I just pay my taxes.
I'm talking about $7,000 a year.
That's obscene.
And it never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're retired and you think that you're going to be living off of Social Security, you're nuts. You've lost your mind. You have no idea how to budget or think about things like this. And it makes me want to go to the school board here and say, are you people crazy? There's 700 kids in the high school. And this is I'm talking like starter home version. Yeah. There's some houses that are a little bit less than that, but there's a lot of houses around here where you're talking 800 up. I'm looking at those. I just look at them because I want to see $20,000 a year in taxes.
And there's a mentality too, because you've seen it where people will own property that their parents own, their grandparents own. It's been the family for over 100 years, and they're taxed out of that property, and there's little to no sympathy.
No, none. Well, there's no sympathy too. Say you inherit that. That's the other arguments is about inheritance taxes, which they act. It's all like, oh, it's just the Vanderbilts that leave money behind and the Rockefellers and
right.
It's like, no, there's families like passing that land down. Now you owe taxes on the property every year via property tax, but you also have to pay taxes on the amount that it's supposedly worth based on whomever came in and did an assessment. And I've been told you can go and fight the assessment, and if you put up a little bit of resistance, they'll change the numbers for you. So it's back to your point about the system. It's not, I don't believe that the privilege is so much race-based, it's class-based.
Yeah.
And they would rather that everybody's fighting about race than notice, like, wait a minute here. It seems to be the same group of rich people run the whole show.
Right.
Maybe we should go after those guys. Like, why is it that Walmart got to stay open this whole time and Target and Lowe's and Home Depot and the virus just magically didn't spread there? Weird. Huh. But every little mom and pop shop, nope, shut it down.
Yep. Gotta go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was so looking forward to this election year before all this was happening. And now, holy crap. What kind of shit show are we in now?
This is the shittiest of shows.
And the virtue signaling and the things that people are focused on that will bring absolutely no change or will be little help to society. They try. Let's be honest here. Nobody is really trying to bring us together.
No.
It's just how many people can I build in my coalition to defeat my political enemy? That's what all this is about. It has nothing to do with, we could just unite as Americans.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, we did kind of unite for a couple months there under the premise that we were all protecting each other.
Right.
And that's why we had to stay inside, give up our jobs, lose our businesses, lose our lives, because we're all in it together. And now all of a sudden, nope, that's gone. We've all forgotten about that. And it's funny to watch on the news now. I occasionally turn it on to see if stuff's still happening in the cities and see what CNN's saying. Oh, and I don't know if you saw this. I caught CNN Sunday morning. I was doing a kettlebell workout and watching television. And I just finished I think I just finished Hotep Jesus and Scott Adams' thing. So I switched over to TV in between sets of things. And I look up and there's Jake Tapper, and he's very sanctimonious. And he's in 1/3 of the screen. The other 2/3 is showing footage. And now I couldn't tell if it was live or not, because it was about 9:00 in the morning on Sunday, and it appeared to be bright and sunny out, and there's a march going by. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing up in the corner to tell me where this is coming from. So I see very prominently this chick walking by with a giant "fuck Trump" sign. Oh. And I thought, oh, that must be a live shot. She clears the frame. And now, mind you, I know how to edit video. I edit the videos that go up on our YouTube site. Yeah. This chick clears the frame. I swear to you, 2-3 frames later, up pops Chicago Saturday. And now I'm watching this Sunday morning. So that means that somebody edited this package, because then it jumps to another city and another city and another city and another city. Right. There's no way that somebody sat in an editing bay and didn't see that little sign go marching by. It was a black sign with white F Trump on it. Yeah. And there's Jake Tapper, decorum and the president's language and the way that things are going, and stuff's getting heated. And it's like, F you, dude. Are you kidding me? Yeah. This is the disconnect right in your face. We don't know why everybody's out in the streets. We've only been telling them for 4 years that they elected Hitler. Right. Now, oh my God, cities are burning and people are getting rid of their cops and letting Antifa take over. So God bless you, Seattle. Good luck.
I'm telling you, if you read Andy Ngo's Twitter feed, Andy Ngo, the journalist, what is it? How does he spell his last name? Is it
NGO?
NGO.
He's the one that got really messed up in last fall, was it? Yeah. In a scuffle with Antifa.
They gave him the concrete milkshake treatment, and
potentially, I still don't know if I believe that there was concrete in there, but
I don't think so.
Meh. I don't know. I don't like when the left exaggerates crap. I try not to do it. I don't know. They beat him physically though. Yeah. Like he had, bloody nose, black eyes. I think they broke something in his face. He was messed up, and
he
he's
had
still
a brain hemorrhage. And,
yeah.
So, but he's been really good at reporting stories on Antifa. Have we collectively come up with the pronunciation?
I think now that everybody says Antifa.
Antifa? Okay.
I liked Antifa better.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, he's reporting that there's a 6 square block area of Seattle that they've
taken over.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I saw this really funny tweet. I'm trying to pull it up, that they had run out of food already. Yeah. So somebody tweeted this out. Their Twitter handle is anarcho-mastia. So whatever that means. And I will be circling back to talk about anarchism once again before we end this podcast. But it says alert number 2. So I don't know what her first alert was. And I'm maybe misgendering this person, but I'm not that concerned about it. Alert number 2. The homeless people we invited took away all the food at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. We need more food to keep the area operational. Listen to this. Ready? Please, if possible, bring vegan meat substitutes, fruits, oats, soy products, etc. Anything to help us eat. So they haven't even held the city
it's collapsing.
or this autonomous area for a day, and they've already run out of food. So again, I would like to point out that if you read the Communist Manifesto, which I would tell everybody to read, it's not very long. You can probably get it on LibriVox, which is an app, and it's also a site where people just themselves read books that are in the public domain. So you might have to listen to somebody who probably shouldn't be reading a book to you, but they're kind enough to do it. So God bless them. But it'll only take you a couple hours to get through it. The end goal of that whole system was anarchy. And anarchy actually means without rulers. And I think people get confused and think it means without rules. So now you have two schools of anarchy. And there's a couple others, like Chomsky calls himself an anarcho-syndicalist, but I won't get into that. Antifa are just commies, anarcho-communists. Then you've got the good guys, my side, the anarcho-capitalists are just like, we don't really need a government. We kind of take care of all that stuff ourselves, and we do a better job in the private sector. And you can actually fire people. Say you had a private security agency and they let your building burn to the ground. Guess what? They're going to be responsible for rebuilding it for you. So my guess is they'll probably protect your ass if riots break out. So we don't descend into vigilantism, but that could happen. So that's Seattle. And I'll remember the weekend that I met you, Fingers, when we were up in Rhode Island and we went to the Netroots conference. That's when Occupy was still kind of around. So there was an
Right.
Occupy contingent there. And I was outside chatting with this guy. And I don't know, those pictures might still be up on that horrible site, Facebook, that I avoid. I talked to this guy who he was wearing Oakleys and he had an iPhone and he had, I think, pink hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me about how he was an anarcho-communist. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, how do you do that? Like, I get the theory that the government just kind of withers and goes away, but then you also believe that everybody gets the same amount of stuff. So how do you enforce that? Like, anarcho-capitalism doesn't seem utopian to me because we kind of account for the fact that utopia is not possible. We just want private property rights and that you could hire your own police forces and that there would be a private court system and all this to kind of adjudicate that stuff. But we're not saying everybody has the same amount of things, whereas you're saying everybody has the same amount of stuff. So how is that taken care of? Who does that? But there's no good answer, of course.
Right.
This is how like Bernie Sanders goes and lives on a commune and they kicked his ass out because he's so lazy that he won't contribute. It's like, how many of these soy boys are going to actually, man up and do some labor?
Well, it almost sounds like you have to have some sort of enforcement wing.
Right. From each, who's doing the from each and to. So who's doing that transaction for you guys? It's just honor system. You guys don't seem all that honorable, really. You don't seem to respect private property. Well, there is no private property. Okay. How does that work? Well,
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I really like your Oakleys. It's like you seem to enjoy the fruits of capitalism, but
you like my Oak? That's just to help me get laid. I'm still,
Oh man.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But I'm just glad I don't live in Portland anymore.
Oh, I'm telling you, it just makes me sick to my stomach what's going on there. And, I said it last week. I was a very apprehensive Trump voter in 2016, but in 2020, if electing Trump helps keep America from becoming Portland, then okay, sign me up. Sign me up. I will vote for every mediocre, crappy Republican for the rest of my life. If this is what the Democratic Party is turning to, where you've got serious people in, at least on the local level, saying, oh yeah, we're going to defund and dismantle the police force. And if a reporter asks, well, what if I'm concerned, my house is breaking in, who am I going to call? And the response is, that's just your white privilege talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a thing that happened, in case people haven't seen that clip. That was CNN's Allison Camerata, and I don't remember the woman's name, but she was the president of the city council in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And she appeared to be white to me as well, but I can't tell, and I don't want to assume anybody's identities.
I look at that and think to myself, this is what is becoming more and more mainstream on the left. And no, absolutely not. I'm not a big fan of police, but I'll be damned if I'm going to sign up for that. And if I'm being told that I am sitting here full of white privilege because I want to be able to call police if someone's breaking into my home. If that's mainstream Democratic Party thought, no thanks. Good luck to you.
Yeah, God bless.
That sounds like a
yeah.
winning recipe in 2020. Listen, Trump could very well blow this whole thing. Lately in the last few weeks, I feel like Democrats have done a very good job of hiding Joe Biden.
Yes. Basement Biden. I love it.
Yeah, basement Biden. We were calling on that strategy weeks ago, saying why are you having Joe Biden launch a podcast? We need, if you're a Democrat, you have to be thinking to yourself, we need less of Joe Biden right now. Let events play out in front of us. The country feels like it's burning to the ground. Don't let Joe bust in and sniff the fire as the country is burning to the ground. Just let the country burn and let Trump be Trump and hope that he screws up, and then you just kind of sneak into the White House. That's how you, so I was waiting for this to happen, and now you're finally seeing people say, hey, psst, Joe, let's just chill for a while.
But I looked to see if they've changed his Twitter, Avi. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Mm-mm.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the little photo that you have of yourself on Twitter would be called an Avi or an avatar. He's wearing a black mask, and it kind of goes like across his face at a little bit of an angle. So you can't tell if it's his ear, and his ears are all folded forward because of the elastic bands. And it comes up right under his aviators. So it just looks crooked and weird and creepy. And it's been there since whatever, it was Memorial Day, I guess, that he and Jill ventured out to go to the cemetery and put the wreaths down.
Would you say he looks like an old man putting on a mask?
Yes. Well, did you see Jerry Nadler trying to take his mask off? Oh, when he's wearing his little garb.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll try to grab that clip and put it up on the site in the show notes for everybody. Holy crap, was that funny? And then I don't know if anybody noticed it, but the Democrats took a knee when they were wearing their, what are those called? Kentes, I guess. I never knew what that little stole thing it was called, but they were wearing those, and then they all took a knee. And God bless Nancy Pelosi. I didn't know that she had the ability to get down and get back up.
Right.
How many life alert calls went out from that floor? But if you look closely, you can see Jerry Nadler appears to be about 5'2".
Uh-huh.
And I'm talking about wide. Tall, he's probably 5'3". But everybody is kneeling around, and then he's just standing there. He looks like Danny DeVito as the Penguin in the 90s version of Batman. But like, oh, Jerry's too... like Artie Lang was too fat to fish. Jerry Nadler is too fat and old to kneel. He's just gonna stand there and hope like he's short enough that everybody will think he's kneeling.
Well, I'm just grateful that apparently photo ops are okay again.
And cultural appropriation. How is that not?
Yeah.
Seriously?
In a week. Look, I know the reaction will be, oh, but there were protesters that were pepper sprayed. Listen, I'm not for that, but at the same time, I'm of the belief that if the president of the United States wants to go somewhere, the president of the United States can go wherever the president of the United States wants to go. And my
understanding was that happened prior to him. Like that wasn't because Trump wants to go to the church. Mm-hmm. There was an altercation that happened prior that then the pepper spray came out.
That's not the media narrative. The media narrative was they were clearing house so Trump could walk across the street for his photo op.
Yes.
It's all going to be so much fun when Trump is gone. The things that aren't acceptable now will be acceptable again. I've talked about it several occasions on the show where it's going to be spin again instead of a lie. And now photo ops are evil. Can't have a photo op as president of the United States. It's amazing to watch. Andrew Breitbart was right. The mainstream media as a joke needs to be destroyed. And if we could defund the mainstream media, if we could defund it and replace it with something else that informs the public, we'll call it something else, Tracy.
Okay.
See how that works.
Well, let's work on that.
Yeah, we'll call it
I
something
mean, you
else.
can't. How do you defund them? We gave Boeing a whole bunch of money. They're buying ads. Northrop Grumman. I mean, but I think a lot of people are waking up to the bullshit that they push.
I think that this whole, between the coronavirus nonstop coverage and the panic that they tried to push on the American people, and then just being able to pivot on a dime and be totally cool with thousands of people in the streets because their cause was just, I think a lot of people, especially small business owners, talk about a 1-2 punch. The COVID-19 pandemic and how businesses were either destroyed or they're on the brink. And then if you're in, say downtown Indianapolis, you're a small business owner that's been struggling throughout the whole thing, not being able to be open, and then rioters come and destroy your business. But you have insurance, so it's okay. At least they didn't kill you.
Right. And you look at my silly governor went marching with the Black Lives Matter through, I believe, Harrisburg, which at the time was in the yellow zone. And yellow zone rule, you're not allowed to do that. And I was reading today, because we've now moved into yellow. Now, mind you, all of Western Pennsylvania was yellow first. They went yellow like May 27th, I want to say, which means that you could have outdoor dining. Basically was the one big thing. And some retail stores could be open, but they have to have limited people in the store, whatever it is. So none of them backslid then. That was the deal. Like, you have to be numbers going down for 2 weeks, and then we'll move you into green. And instead of looking at it and saying, okay, they were safely able to open, we'll just move everybody to green. No, now I'm in the yellow zone and they're all green. So I was reading the rules today, which they don't make easy to find on the damn site. You think when you go there, it's like top of the page and you can click on your, no, we're going to bury this. Well, it says very clearly that even if you're in the green, spontaneous or planned gatherings of more than 250 people are banned. I've now 2 weekends in a row gone out for a walk and run into a protest march.
Yeah.
Both times I joined them because I've got nothing. I want to hear it. I would love to have a conversation and explain to you, like, hey, guys, maybe the cops aren't the problem. Let's go to City Hall. Yeah. You know? Right. Those guys write the laws that empower these guys to come and confront you on the street over some stupid shit.
Right.
And then maybe it escalates, maybe it doesn't. But there's definitely more than 250 people out there. And like, so the cops would have been totally within their rights to ticket everybody that's there. Didn't do it. So it's getting a little frustrating.
And I have no problem with protesting.
No, I don't either.
We've both been a part of protests. And listen, when I saw the video, I'm on board, man. We got to do something. We have this relationship, with law enforcement that I don't think is healthy. And especially if you're a young Black male, I can understand why you would feel the way that you feel about law enforcement. You have me. Then you lose me when you start telling me that rioting is a form of speech, and destroying public or private property is, well, it's kind of bad. At least they didn't kill you, and you have insurance. It's not a human life. I'm sorry. While I agree with you that life is more important than property, you shouldn't downplay the destruction of someone's business, the destruction of public and private property. Just shrug it off as, well, you didn't die.
And we need to have a more nuanced conversation about life. They're talking about life as whether or not you have a pulse and brain activity.
Yeah.
But there's another definition where it's you destroyed somebody's life. They put their life into that business. They spent years of their life that now you've just taken away from them. So you look at it as just a broken window and some stolen stuff. And they look at it as, oh my God, I spent everything that I had building this.
Yeah, why is it okay for a rioter who the left thinks their cause is just? Why is it okay for that person to destroy private property? But say, would they have the same attitude that it's okay if, say, a Mitt Romney in his business dealings made a couple of transactions that destroyed someone's business? There would be a whole different attitude about it. So I just find it vile and disgusting that there's just too many people out there that will justify and accept this sort of violence and destruction of property. And again, so many of these people that are doing this are hiding behind legitimate protesters and using them as human shields, and that's disgusting. You have me. I completely agree with you that there should be law enforcement reform. Absolutely on board. You lose me when you start rioting. But I wonder if you want me there to begin with anyway.
I think some of them do and some of them don't. And to the point that we're coming back to for the third time, they would rather have us divided on race lines than class lines.
Yeah.
And everybody was on board with this in the beginning. Anybody that saw the video, heard about it, whatever, knew that was wrong, and they were against it and were ready to go out in the street and join everybody. But then we have to make it into something that it's not and get violent and get angry instead of, at this point, I don't even know what it is that they would like to see happen.
Well, I just know
there's
that
no coherent.
Much of it is federally subsidized at this point because people are still able to collect $600 a week from the federal government and state unemployment, depending on where you're living. But when I'm seeing messages spray painted on people's businesses that say, fuck capitalism or free Palestine, it's like, what does this have to do with George Floyd at all? Burn the banks.
Yeah.
What?
But that's always been kind of the lefty thing. They've corralled everybody. They've kept their side together, and I don't know how, because it's so many disparate factions. And both of us have been at the Occupy stuff and other lefty protests, and you just can't believe it. You're like, oh, wait, you're on what? Why are you guys here too?
Yeah.
And everybody's got to have their voice. So you get all that crazy crap, like kill the bankers, which, all right, maybe I would go not kill them, but we could definitely do something about the Federal Reserve. You guys want to talk about that? Or you just want to destroy Citibank? It's like, there's a way bigger private bank that runs the whole thing. Maybe you guys are familiar with it. Maybe you're not. But it gets crazy. Like, I remember, what was it? I think it was last year or the year before. There was some during Pride Month, so we're now on Pride Month, and I went to the protest, and the last week there weren't any gay pride flags. This week there were. And I think it was in Toronto last year where they were having a pride parade, and Black Lives Matter came in and said, well, we're not being represented here. We need to be part of this. And it's like, they can't have their own things. Whereas on the right, I feel like it's much more of an individualist kind of idea. So we're cool with that. Like, if we're getting together to rally to say, end the Fed, that's the only thing you're going to hear about at that rally.
Yeah.
It's not like, maybe there's some anti-vaxxers, as they like to call them, over there, and the raw milk people over there. But we're not about their thing today. So everybody's on board. We're all uniform in what this is. Where the left, it's a friggin' circus.
Well, we're an hour in.
I know. I feel like we've exhausted everything there is to potentially talk about.
You wanted to mention something about Dave Rubin?
Yeah, Dave Rubin built a new site called Locals. So it's locals.com, and you can build a little community over there. So content providers and producers are building a little piece they're grabbing up little real estate over there so you can support them directly. So you don't have to go through Patreon or anything like that. And so I put a little enough already flag over there. So we've got enoughalready.locals.com, and you can join our community. And nice. Dave has promised not to deplatform anybody or anything like that. So a lot of people that I think our audience would probably be familiar with have built a little community over there. So I know I'm following Scott Adams.
Mhm.
and he's got some stuff. You can support him. I think his minimum support level is maybe $7 a month, because he decided that would keep the trolls away. And so he makes exclusive content, and I think we could start doing that too. If we get anybody following us over there and they want some stuff, extra content from us, we might be able to oblige that. But it's like Scott's there, Michael Malice. Trying to think, I got to get back. They're still building it out, so I'm not too excited about the interface just yet. It's a little difficult to navigate, but I will put a link up in the show notes on this, on the enoughalready.u, or excuse me, we're no longer .us. We are now enoughalready.media.
Well, we don't claim to be the biggest podcast in the world, but we do have some devoted fans and supporters out there, and we appreciate all of you who have subscribed to the Enough Already podcast, where all fine podcasts are found. You can find us everywhere, anywhere on your favorite podcast platform, and also YouTube and BitChute and enoughalready.media. And Tracy and I have talked about this privately. I'll see if you guys are interested. You know, we may branch out into other things. I have become obsessed with grilling now. Like, ridiculous. I bought this new grill that I am, grilling 4 or 5 days a week. If you want to see content about barbecue and, videos of grilling and cigar reviews or something, I can put stuff up on the Enough Already website. If that's something you all are interested in, tweet me at Fingers Malloy. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, or you're like, Fingers, don't waste your time.
Well, we were promised yoga videos, and we have yet to see yoga videos.
I talked to other people about that, and honestly, they said you were trying to rope me in on something.
Oh yeah,
I would look silly.
I am. That's the whole point.
Well, this may surprise you. I don't, enjoy looking like a complete doofus on the internet, even though I do it a lot. I don't enjoy it. And so nobody needs to see my fat ass doing lazy dog or crouching dragon or whatever the hell these poses are, and Dave Mustaine at the end. Nobody needs to see this.
Are you still doing it?
Well, what do you think the answer to that question is?
Wah, wah, wah.
But I am grilling. I got a new grill. It's a charcoal grill that it's a gravity-fed charcoal grill made by Masterbuilt. So, but it's like a pellet grill. So I can start the fire. The charcoal never gets into the cooking chamber underneath the food. It just stays in the chimney, and then a fan draws the hot air into the grill, and it's all controlled by an electronic computer gizmo. And it goes from anywhere from 200 degrees to 700 degrees. And I'm cooking like crazy. I've made brisket. I've made steaks, burgers. I made chicken wings last night, hot dogs. So I could do different, once a week I could do maybe a cooking video.
I would enjoy that.
If people would watch it. So let me know.
Sure, why not?
Enough Already, let's grill. Maybe that'll be the name.
Yeah, and I've been toying with the idea of doing something, Enough Already read a book, where maybe I bring on somebody that's written a book. Because I know that, I don't know what it is that you do with your free time. I guess it's grilling and smoking cigars and drinking.
Yes.
You don't watch TV and you don't read books about things.
Don't have a lot of free time. I do 20 different podcasts. Let me think about this. I do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also the host of the Snark Factor on Wham Talk 1600 AM, 92.7 FM in Ann Arbor on the weekends.
So it's 2 hours of your week. Uh-huh.
Well, now come on now. That always cracks me up. I used to hear people when they would talk about Rush Limbaugh when he first made it. They're like, must be nice. He only works 3 hours a day. It's like, yeah, really? You only work 3 hours a day? Coming up with show prep. And I don't always do a lot of prep for this show, but I do try. I put a lot of stories in our doc today. But I do this show. I do the Snark Factor. I'm on the Smart Girl Politics podcast now.
I didn't know you were identifying that way these days. Good for you.
Makes me feel pretty. I'm on the Smart Girl Politics podcast with Terry Christoph. She wanted to do a Gen X podcast. So we'll talk a little news of the day, and then we'll have a topic that will speak to the Gen X crowd, make us feel like we're young again. We've done cartoons, movies, music, favorite concerts. So I do that show, and then I do Eat, Drink, Smoke with Tony Katz of WIBC, and which is in Indianapolis, 93 WIBC. He's the morning guy there, and then he hosts Tony Katz Today. So I do 4 podcasts, Tracy, and then I produce podcasts too. So there's not a lot of free time. So
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I might launch enough already read a book. And I've also been talking about doing more, I don't know what to call it. It's not really conspiracy stuff, but that's probably the genre that it would end up in.
Nothing wrong with that. So what kind of conspiracy? So are we talking videos? Or are you going to do podcasts? There would be conspiracy theory podcasts.
Conspiracy theory-ish podcasts, I suppose. I would have a video component, of course.
Oh, okay.
I've just been reading a lot, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's a cool genre. I mean, it's never ending. Never ending.
One of my favorite things to do when I used to have a job where I would work third shift, and I would be driving home at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I used to listen to Coast radio with Art Bell and then George Norrie. I mean, perfect show, the perfect time of night. I'm driving through Indiana cornfields, and he's talking about aliens and stuff. You're like, oh, he said that out of the corner of my eye. I love stuff like that. So yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
it'd be fun. I just want an excuse to talk to all the people in that kind of world. I think they're interesting. Yeah. So why not?
Why not? Give us suggestions too. Follow Tracy on Twitter and tweet her.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories that she should do a show on at Tracy L. Connors. Tell me what I should be grilling on Twitter at Fingers Malloy. And maybe we'll throw some different content at you instead of just our 2 pleasant faces and voices on your favorite podcast/video platform. So
yeah, and if you don't want to support us that way, if you're going shopping on Amazon, just drop by enoughalready.media first and click through on our link.
There you go.
And then Fingers can buy an even bigger grill.
Ooh.
And we'll start putting it in the Beach House Fund.
We still have to do something, and I can't believe it's been this long. We're sitting on Scam Pack, and we just have not built anything.
Well, we could do a Scam Pack update as part of our premium content over for locals.
We should listen. We know enough people. We should film our Scam Pack commercial.
Yeah.
We're perfectly honest with people. Listen, we don't want to change the country at all. We just want our own beach house.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could
heavily guarded at this point.
Yes. So if you could just donate to our pack, Scam Pack.
We don't have any solutions.
No.
We're not going to lie and pretend we care about you. We just really need a beach house.
Our solution is a beach house.
Yes, where we can watch all of you burn your cities to the ground from the comfort of our lazy boys.
We can look into the camera and pretend that we care, but we really don't care.
Not even a little bit.
No. Donate today. Scam Pack. If I didn't think we were breaking some kind of law, I would start it right now.
Yeah. I don't think that we are. I mean, if you're that honest about it, just be like, this is a scam.
Yeah.
We called it Scam Pack.
We're an LLC.
Yeah. I wonder which one of our states would allow us to register a Scam Pack LLC. I wonder if we could set up as a 501c3 so it would be tax deductible for everybody to buy us a beach house.
If you're a lawyer who would like a 2% cut.
Exactly. Please reach out to us.
I take a good lawyer It wants to make a whopping 2% on our idea. Let us know. Tweet us at Fingers Malloy, at Tracy L. Connors. Final thoughts, Tracy?
I'm just picturing our beach house.
Oh, it would be great.
What state
I
are we
grill
gonna
for
go?
you all the time, Tracy. I would be grilling like crazy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Grilling
that.
like a madman. And I know you you were just on the carnivore diet, so I know you won't be trying to raid the Seattle compound's fake meat and soy products.
Yes. Please bring vegan meat substitutes.
To the beach
We really
house.
need to keep our energy up. We're already losing muscle mass here.
Oh my goodness.
And that's just
All
our
right.
men need more soy. They're not filling out their bras as well as they used to.
My tits are big enough.
Yeah.
Soy. Father Time is doing a magnificent job on his own without me packing my diet full of soy. Okay. Well, she's Tracy. I'm Fingers. We'll be back soon with an all new Enough Already.